Welcome and thank you for joining our webinar today focused on AMAG's Visitor Management System. I'm Jason Schimpf, Head of the Partner Programs and Education here. I'll be your host. First and foremost, on behalf of everybody at AMAG, we hope you, your family, your friends, and your coworkers are all safe and healthy through these trying times. We have a lot of great things going on here at AMAG, and these webinars provide important corporate updates, drive awareness to AMAG's products and features, share best practices, and dive deep into unique product features that will help you differentiate your company from others when you team up with us. If you have any questions today, please type them in the question box, and we'll address as many as we can during this WebEx, and then we'll follow up with those that we didn't get a chance to after the webinar. For our presenters today, we have a newcomer, Matthew Michael McIntosh. He's our in-house resident alliteration, AMAG's product manager for hosted products. Matt will be introducing us to new features in the Symmetry Guest, which makes it even more flexible and customizable for customers' individuals' needs. And batting cleanup today is AMAG's heavy hitter, Kim Rayfeld. Kim will be rounding third and bringing us home with AMAG's YouTube channel. And since we're LA-based, we are obligated to make baseball references in honor of the World Series today. Over the last 5 years, AMAG has grown beyond access control to transform ourselves into a total solution provider focusing on reducing costs, mitigating risk, and increasing compliance with external regulation. In our previous webinars, we briefly introduced what AMAG is doing in different areas of our business beyond access control to help our channel and end users solve problems while becoming an end-to-end solutions provider with a robust ecosystem of best-of-breed technology partners. All those webinars and much more are available for free on that YouTube channel that Kim's going to talk about a little bit later, and also can be found through AMAG's website. If you have any questions, please type them into the question box, and let's go ahead and turn it over to Matt.
Thank you, Jason. Again, I'm Matthew McIntosh. I am the product manager of hosted solutions here at AMAG, and I do want to go over a couple of new and exciting enhancements we have coming to Symmetry Guest. We've been working on these for quite a while, and they are due out to be released this week, and we're quite excited for you guys to get your hands on them. Next slide, please. So since we haven't done one of these webinars on Symmetry Guest in a while, I'd like to start off just a kind of an overview of the life cycle of the visitor as we see it here at AMAG. To us, all visits really start with the visitor registration. And because of this, we try to make it as easy as possible to occur. So users have the ability to either register a visitor through a web UI or through a nice calendar integration, which allows them to schedule their meetings as they normally would, include a specialized email address as part of that as an attendee. Once that is saved and that meeting is scheduled, those information will be sent to guests and be able to register all those visitors right there. Once the visitor is registered, then we can go through a validation process. This can include an internal watch list or visit approval workflow that can be configured. Finally, once the visits themselves are scheduled and validated, now it's just waiting for the visit to actually occur. At that point in time, we'll go through a check-in process. There has been a couple of methods available for people. The receptionist, or typical lobby or security guard, self-registration kiosk. And with this new release coming out, we'll also introduce an auto check-in capability, which provides a touchless check-in option that we'll talk about more detail in the next couple slides. During the check-in process, you'll also have the ability to provide a badge. This could be a physical badge or a printed badge with a QR code. And during this process, this will also be when those credentials and that visitor information, along with the access assigned to them, will go down to Symmetry so that those cards can be activated. From there, it'll be the typical life of the visitor, doing what business are there to do. You'll be able to track their movements via the credentials provided through them in Symmetry. When the visit comes to an end, you'll be able to check out. This can be done, again, via the receptionist or by the host if configured, and even the possibility of just having it automatically checked out at the end of the day. When the checkout does occur, their credential and the visitor information will be removed from Symmetry, making that access and that credential inactive. Then for historical purposes, you'll always have reporting, which will be able to provide an insight on what that person did while they're on site, as well as just your current trends and get some analytics on what visitors are really doing or how many are coming to the building at the time. Next slide, please. So that brings us to the new options that we have with this release. So with this one, the two main items, we tried to add a lot more flexibility. We took a number of settings that were general or system-wide settings and made them a little bit more flexible, associated with the visit type instead of the system as a whole. The reason we did this is pretty simple. Not all visits are created equal. There's a big difference between a vendor or contractor versus a VIP or an employee going to a different building than they typically work at. Visit types and guests are very flexible. They can be assigned by building or by company, giving you a great leniency where you can have different visit types for different companies in a multi-tenant building, or different offices in different parts of the country can have different visit types associated with them. So the settings that we've moved into this visit type include options for visit registration. This can be how many days in advance a visit type can be registered, or how long a maximum stay that visit type can be scheduled for without having to schedule a second visit. Photo options, if we want the photo to expire, if you want a photo to be required, how long until a photo has to be expired. It can all now be set by visit type. And then check-in and check-out options. So you can set a default departure time. This will help with simplifying that registration process, saying that typically a visit will end at 3 p.m. or 5 p.m., and these can be different now by visit type, allowing the checkout by host, having the visit auto checkout, and then again, that new feature of auto check-in. To give a little bit more specifics on the auto check-in, this will allow for a visit to be automatically checked in a completely touchless manner at its scheduled start time, as well as, and then checked out at its scheduled departure time. There's a number of benefits we can see from this, thinking of a scenario where there is a garage access that is needed, maybe a locked lobby, and obviously in the current times, a number of COVID-type solutions. How this is done is via a visitor welcome email that will provide a QR code that can be used as their credential. There's also going to be in that email a link or a configurable link to be able to add it to your wallet application, whether that be Google or Apple. Now, auto check-in in and of itself can have a number of concerns around security, not knowing necessarily that this visit has been checked in. We have tried to mitigate those with also increasing the flexibility of notifications by that visit type. So, for example, if you do enable auto check-in, you might also want to enable the notification for visit arrival, which can include a photo of the visitor and include that to all security officers. With notifications, you can also, across the board, enable or disable, define who receives them, whether you want to CC a host delegate or such, or set it to a specific email group or individual. In some cases, you can do a time frame for visit reminder, as well as what to include. Do you want to include a QR code? Do you want to include the wallet links in the visitor welcome email? So notification as a whole will have a number of different configurations that can occur on those notifications, again, all by visit type. Next slide, please. So since we think auto check-in is such a kind of useful and exciting feature, we wanted to run through kind of a real-world use case for it. So we're going to take the imaginary story of there is a board meeting coming up on Wednesday from 6 to 10 p.m. With that in mind, everything's going to start with that visit registration. So each board member is going to be registered in Guest for that 6 p.m. start time and a 10 p.m. departure time on Wednesday, using a visit type of VIP, which has already been configured to have auto check-in and have that visit arrival email set up to send to the entire security team. When I click Save and register that visit, the board members themselves will receive an email. That email will contain the QR code and the link to the edit to their Google Wallet. Next slide, please. Once the board member receives that email, they can click the link to add it to their Google Wallet. which will add it as an event pass, again, as you can see from the slide, showing the QR code that can then be used as their credential. At that point in time, everything is done until Wednesday at 6 o'clock comes, when that visit will be automatically checked in. Next slide, please. Once the visit is checked in, the email will be sent to the security guards showing the visitor's picture. That credential, as well as the access associated, will then be sent to Symmetry, allowing for the board member to pull up to the garage at 6:05, scan the QR code, and enter the garage. From there, they can make their way up to the boardroom, have their meeting as scheduled. And then at 10 o'clock, when that departure time comes, the visit will be checked out, disabling that credential, removing that visitor from Symmetry, disabling the credential, disabling the access associated with it, so that if he did print out that email and use that QR code instead and happened to have dropped it, at that point in time, it will no longer be viable and useful in any way. So these two items, the visits type settings, as well as the auto check-in, will be part of this release. It's scheduled to be pushed to production by the end of the week. And we're very excited to see all you guys get your hands on it and see how you guys use it. Next slide, please. So again, Symmetry Guest is an off-the-shelf visitor management solution designed with the ideas of reducing cost, mitigating risk, and ensuring compliance. The goals are to automate what has been manual, provide visibility into who's going to enter in buildings and who's going to be on premise, as well as enforcing any organization compliance, such as policies or insurance needed by different type of visitors to buildings. We focus on trying to make it easy to use to allow for a high adaptability rate, as well as tightly integrated with Symmetry. With that, I'd like to send it over to Kim Rayfield, our Director of Media Relations, to talk about our AMAG YouTube channel.
Thanks, Matt. Hi, everyone. This is Kim Rayfield, Director of Media Relations for AMAG Technology. Before I get started, I want to remind you that if you have any questions, to please type them in the chat box, and Jason will address them at the end of the webinar. So today, I'd like to share more about AMAG's YouTube channel. I've talked about our YouTube channel in previous webinars, but I'm going to take a deeper dive today. We use our YouTube page as the primary place to host all of our videos, regardless of what type of video it is. You can find our channel at youtube.com/AMAG Technology. Now, some of you may notice that this is a different name. That's okay. You can also reach it by typing in the old Symmetry Resources URL as well. But this name matches our branding better, and we will be using it moving forward. So when you go on our YouTube page, it launches into a short thought leadership video. I suggest that you watch that, as it gives you a fantastic high-level overview about AMAG and our Symmetry solutions. Once you're finished, I suggest you click on the Playlists link. We have several playlists that highlight specific topics and areas of our business, and this is where you should quickly find what you need. We host our monthly customer webinars on the AMAG Webinar Series playlist. There you will find the last several webinars that you can watch in full, or you can forward to the section that you'd like to watch again. In fact, within a day or two, you'll find this very webinar posted there. There are videos that highlight each of our Symmetry solutions. For example, we recently released a short video about how Symmetry Mobile works. And when I say short, I mean 1 minute. Here you can quickly learn how easy it is to set up Symmetry Mobile, or you can share it with your customers to illustrate the setup process. We have a playlist that highlights thought leadership. This is where you'll find AMAG's subject matter experts sharing their insights about industry trends and how our solutions can help organizations mitigate risk, ensure compliance, and reduce costs. There is an extensive Symmetry training collection on our YouTube channel, that includes several short videos about specific features within our Symmetry solution set. And I'm excited to share that we have 4 brand new videos that highlight features within Symmetry Complete View Video Management. The videos are about dynamic resolution scaling, GeoView, video wall, and thumbnail search. Check them out if you want to learn more about how to use those features within Complete View and share them with your customers too. And earlier this year, after we learned that ISC West was going to be postponed, we hosted our own version of ISC West, which included 5 half-hour webinars about 5 key products. The videos take a deeper dive into our core products as well as some of our partners' products. You will see videos about Symmetry Access Control, Symmetry Complete View Video Management, Intelligent Communications, which is our audio solution, Symmetry Blue Reader Series, and Symmetry Business Intelligence. For any of you wanting to know more about those solutions, that is a great place to start. While there's so much more on our YouTube channel, I am going to stop here. I invite you to please check out the channel. We are posting new videos all the time. So now I'm going to throw it back to Jason, who will answer questions and wrap it up.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. However, I will not be answering questions. I'll be asking questions of our special guest today. So we've got a handful of them here. Some of these we are going to follow up with folks after the call, but let's go ahead and get through as many of these as we can. Okay, Matt, you ready for this?
Yes, Jason, I am.
Excellent. Okay. Talk about the visitor management platform. Can the visit type override the daily checkout for a multi-day visitor?
So you'll be able to set out by visit type if you want the visit to be checked out, if a multi-day visit to be checked out at the end of the day. So you will have some flexibility with that each visit type can do it differently.
Okay. All right. These updates are automatically being pushed later this week. Will the AMAG client service require updating?
It will not require, there's no update directly requiring this to be updated. To take advantage of the auto check-in functionality, you would want to update to the latest client, but there's no break-in changes. So if you're not going to take advantage of that functionality, you do not have to update the client.
All right, so the client itself doesn't need to be updated for this specific update or ever, since it's a hosted solution?
In this case, there is a client that does need to be updated. It would only, then again, in this case, it would only be updated to take advantage of the new functionality.
Got it. Okay, and that ties right into the next question, I guess, is Guest a cloud hosted?
Yes, so there is a couple options. We do have a hosted model, which is a shared instance hosted solution. There is somewhat recently the ability to have an on-prem version of Guest as well. So it can go either or depending on the organization needs.
Excellent. So the default product is a hosted solution, and if it needs to go on-prem, our pro services team would be able to help with that. Is that right, Matt?
Absolutely.
Excellent. All right. Next question is talking about importing a large group. So, for example, if you need to import a large group, maybe like board members, like 50 or more, is that possible? And then off the top of your head, do you know the maximum of how large that import can be?
So I don't know the maximum. I have personally tested with I think 250 or 300 was the highest I've done one in. There is a number or a couple different ways you can do a group import. One, you can type in to any visit registration, multiple visitors. When it gets to be larger numbers, even 10 or more, there is a kind of spreadsheet upload that you can do. You can choose to do a upload, download a sample file, kind of populate that CSV file, choose that, update that, and that will import the group based on that. Check-in and check-out would also be possible as a group as well.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, we got one more question here for you, Matt. Can a visitor forward the QR code to or for someone else to use?
So yes, visitor, nothing directly we can do to stop that. That's where, again, the visitor arrival emails come into play, because they'll allow to know that this visit has been activated, and then there's a photo on file, include the photo, which can then be used to ensure that people they're expecting to come through the lobby are. Unfortunately, with the email itself, if you include the QR code in that, it can't prevent it from being printed out and read by somebody else during that time period.
Got it. Okay, so now if we're using the QR code, then it comes up to the local security guard just to verify that picture aligns with who that person actually is then.
Yes, I'll have the notification will go out, so the lobby will be aware of who is expected at any given time and what they look like if the picture is on file. Excellent.
Excellent. All right. I've got one more question. We're going to take this one offline, though, Matt. I think this one's going to be a unique answer, so we'll take that one off. So I think that's going to wrap us for today. So Matt and Kim, thank you for co-hosting that. I really appreciate it. If anybody else has any other questions today, please feel free to reach out to your local salesperson, and they can help you with this. As always, the full webinar and previous versions are on the YouTube channel, as Kim mentioned before. It should be there in the next 2 days once we get process it and drop it into that channel. As soon as this webinar ends, in your browser, a short survey is going to pop up. Please take a minute to fill it out so we can make sure we're always delivering the best information on these webinars. We do a pretty good job of getting a lot of attention to these, and we want to make sure that we keep your attention and that we're delivering information to you that is powerful and impactful for you. Please stay healthy, and we'll see you next month on November 17th at the same time at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Have a great rest of your week.